about a girl I know. Yeah, she looks so fine. Yeah. Well, she's the only girl that I've been dreaming of. Gonna make her mine all night.
Hey, hey, what can I do?
Hey, what can I? Hey, what can I do?
Why are we singing a Led Zeppelin song? Because
I got a woman make wanna ball all night. And he didn't want to do the word ball. James Lee Stanley started a franchise in the early '00s, initially with John Batdorf, doing reconstructions of, in this case, it was Rolling Stones in his case. So it was called All Wood and Stones. And, you know, you got the minerals and got a lot of play on Sirius XM. The version of Under My Thumb and is fabulous. He did two of those. He did one with Cliff Eberhardt called All Wood and Doors. And I went to him going, buddy, I want to do All Wood and Lead. And it took us a couple of years to get to it. And it took us a couple of years to make it. Pandemic intervened, but we put the thing out in 2021, completely produced by James Lee. He's playing all the instruments except the bass. And I think I'm playing guitar on one track. But it's us singing basically Laurel Canyon deconstructions of Led Zeppelin songs. And it's the kind of thing where you're sitting there bopping. Wait a minute, what? You know, I mean,
what other Led Zeppelin songs were?
Oh my God, we did "Fool in the Rain." We did "Battle of Evermore." Sounds like the Druids have arrived. And I'm doing that in some low parts that are stacked, and he's singing the melody. Whole Lot of Love is like you need cooling, baby. I'm not fooling.
Yeah.
And that one, I mean, people laugh their butts off and then they go buy it, which is really cool.
Well, James A. Stanley, we should point out, is we talk about funny. Talking about funny when you do a song every once in a while. James Lee is hilarious, but a wonderful songwriter and a great voice. And he's just a troubadour himself. He may travel as much as you do.
Oh, he's kicked my butt. Well, first of all, he's a little older than I am, but I mean, he's put out 50 albums. He's been doing this for pretty close to 60 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 40, 45 years in. He's 60 years in.
Wow.
And he's had amazing, amazing experiences. You know, Tom Robbins quoted him in Another Roadside Attraction, I think it is, maybe, unless it was Even Cowgirls Get the Blues, was pretty amazing. I mean, I remember I picked up the book once and he's quoted in the flyleaf. It's like, what the heck? And, you know, he's had an amazing career and he's my pal. He's our pal. So we did this record. We only did one show behind it. We were going to try to tour, but frankly, my tour schedule didn't allow it, which was, you know, tough just to clear the time. But we made a record that the reviews have been good, and I think, I mean, I sell them at shows, you know, especially if I do the song, because then people immediately got to go get it. Oh my God, Stairway to Heaven is a revelation.
Yeah, All Wood and Lead, great name.
All Wood and Lead. Ramble On. Houses of the Holy, Over the Hills and Far Away, Fool in the Rain, which is really cool. And oh my God, Good Times, Bad Times. And we go into a Beach Boys ending of Good Times, Bad Times. So, you know, it's fun. It's different. You know,
it's out there. It's out there to be found.
Yeah, pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. Say changing dramatically, changing subjects. What's going on with AI? And you're into that, I know. And,
yeah, you know, a little over a year ago, I knew nothing about it. A friend of mine who's a lobbyist called and said, would you be willing to go to South by Southwest to speak on a panel about artificial intelligence and songwriting? And he sent me a link and I started doing the deep dive into what's going on and what's at stake. Now, artificial intelligence has been around for a while. It's part of what allows us to get, you know, internet searches that track what we've done and will predict what we might want to see.
The guy who, I guess the word is invented it or created it, worked on it for 50 years before anyone even heard about it. So
exactly. And it's using algorithms to sort of make predictions and scope out tendencies that will allow it to as much as think. Now, its application now, and where the real energy is that it can be used to create deep fakes and videos that show people saying things they never said, can make the lips move the way they can impersonate voices, will scrape the internet. If you decide you want an image done in the style of Vincent van Gogh, of Albert Einstein and Marilyn Monroe sitting in a rowboat doing bong hits, it will create that based on your verbal prompt.
You just say it. Just say
Well,
it.
you write it in there. This is what I want in the style of Vincent van Gogh doing bong hits wearing propeller hats. And boom, it'll create it by scraping the internet for the various component parts and assembling them. In music, it can write songs. They're horrible, but it can do it. And the threat is it's learning generative AI, which is the kind we're talking about here, OpenAI, ChatGPT, other software devices like that utilize what's called generative AI, have to learn on something. And what they're learning on is a lot of copyrighted material. And so I've been in Washington and at the negotiating table leading in the fight to make sure that what I call, and it is a phrase I coined, I'll take credit for it, the 3 C's are covered: consent, credit, and compensation. If you're going to do that, pay me. Give me credit if credit is doable. Give me the ability to opt out. I think Sony Music has just decided that it's opting out of all generative AI systems because it's simply taken their copyrighted material and using it to learn to create other material. Copyright Office has just ruled that you can't copyright something made strictly with AI. One of the image generators forgot to remove a Getty Images watermark. And it's like, oops. And copyright is important. It's also true that copyright has been under constant siege since the dawn of the digital era, especially with regard to the internet. Everything is considered to be fair game. And if creators can't generate revenues off of what they create, no one can create anything. The quality of the work goes down, the ability for someone to devote their lives to it, and therefore their best efforts goes down. You'll have amateurs and you'll have the remaining superstars, and the giant middle class that do the heavy lifting will go away. Hey, isn't that how every civilization has fallen since time immemorial? Well, we've got it now because technology also is not going to be stopped. What I'm talking about and what I go on record for is responsible use of it, especially as regards credit, consent, credit, compensation.
Well, and that caused a whole strike last year.
Sure did.
Basically did, right?
And I was on that committee. And we did the same thing in the sound recordings negotiations between SAG-AFTRA and the labels that I chaired. So this is part of the advocacy, but I tell you, I'm learning a lot, even still. I wasn't an expert on AI, and I'm not an attorney, so I'm not an expert on the rights, but I understand most of how these paper trails work. And I will throw my body in front of the bus to make sure that we get our due. We're not going to stop it. Anyone who suggests stopping it is naive, and I'm not going to do that. But
they're not going to stop. In fact,
they'll never stop it.
They're doing it. I mean,
no technology has ever been stopped, ever, in the name of the workforce. Ever.
Yeah.
Jesus, it wasn't even stopped in the name of hundreds of thousands of lives with the atomic bomb. Technology will not be stopped. Be responsible, pay the people, give them credit, give them the ability to opt out. And SAG-AFTRA did that in its TV theatrical negotiations. There are still issues. Scarlett Johansson just got nailed, ripped off, if you will. She was the voice of her in the Joaquin Phoenix movie. Well, they cloned her, and they've got her up on a thing where they don't identify her as Scarlett Johansson. They identify her as her. Well, she was her, and it's her voice that's been manipulated to say other things.
This is what the strike was about, or that type of
part of it.
And they're just doing it anyway.
They're doing it. Well, they're doing it anyway, but a lot of the entities that are doing it are not signatories to the union contract, which means they're going to fall outside the realm anyway. And we got to go play whack-a-mole to go get them and to make them do it responsibly. It's a tough one. I do dubbing from foreign language television into English. I've done a dozen series doing that. And I also do voice match, a couple of movies I did, impersonating Javier Bardem, and I learned how to do his voice. And eventually that'll go away because they'll get software that will create new text, new dialogue, using the voice components to create new words in foreign languages. And then they'll use the same technology to make the film match it. So the lips match. Godzilla movies with the lips that don't match, that's going away too. So it's a brave, and those things, by the way, are legal because they'll get the original actor with their permission and compensate them. Again, I'm choosing my battles with regard to what it is. AI is not evil. Not giving credit, not paying people, not getting consent is.
That's evil. All right, let's slide into, speaking of evil, no, that's not nice to say. We're going into a commercial, and we're going to hear a Dan Navarro tune called Bulletproof Heart. And we'll be back with Dan in just a few minutes. This is the Mike Gormley Show.